Good afternoon, yogis. Today's practice I have ready for you all is going to focus on some of our higher chakra energy centers. So we'll be focusing on the throat, the crown, and the ear chakras. Ear chakras are often kind of forgotten about, but they are smaller energy centers on either side of your head. And we'll be focusing on some ways of opening those up alongside with the music that will be playing in the background of this practice. Your throat chakra is a little bit more related to your ability to communicate your truth and do so with integrity, honesty, sharing the intelligences that you've acquired with others rather than hiding those out of fear of judgment. The crown chakra, in that same note, is the one which connects you to your higher self, your divine guidance, your actualized personality, the best version of your spirit, your angels, your guidance. So quite the practice we have here today, all kind of centered around our third eye, which we'll get into in our next practice. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to begin in a seated position. Focus on rooting your hip bones down into the earth below you and straightening out your back, making sure that your head is directly above your shoulders above your hips. From here, we're going to move into neck rolls. So whenever you're ready, take your left ear to your left shoulder and slowly draw your head forward and all the way around back, really letting the weight be what is stretching out that tension and allowing those muscles to warm up. Take 2 more rotations here and then go ahead and switch to the opposite side. Just 2 more counterclockwise rolls and we're going to start moving on to our shoulders. So whenever you're ready, bring your head straight up and begin by rotating your shoulders back, really getting into that socket. Make sure to keep your neck and your face relaxed. We're really trying to isolate just the shoulders in this motion, keeping your hands on your knees for stability. Breathe slowly as you keep your rotations going back. From here, go ahead and put your hands on your shoulders and then focus on breathing in as you turn right and exhaling as you turn to the left, allowing your back to loosen up, which will allow us to continue getting deeper into the neck. Next, we're going to transition into a few rounds of cat-cow. So cat being when we arch our backs up on the exhale, cow being when our belly drops and our face looks up towards the sky as we inhale. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and take that inhale, let your lungs fill up, head lift up, gaze outward. Exhale, flex your muscles and extend that spine towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, reach out towards the sky. Keep doing these, really focusing on your neck and warming up your upper back. Take one more round of cat-cow and then begin to transition onto your knees for our next position, which is going to be camel pose. For camel pose, place your knees hips distance apart and inhale and lift your sternum as you drop your hands towards your feet, allowing your head to go back and continuing to focus on your breathing in each of these positions throughout the practice. Tune into what feels tight here, what you might want to pay a little bit of extra attention to as we keep going, or perhaps even anything that's being released that you're ready to let go of and surrender into. Take a few more breaths here and then go ahead and release the position to meet forward in child's pose. So forehead towards the ground, arms stretching out in front of you, hips wide open with your sit bones rooted in between your feet. A few more breaths here and then begin to transition into puppy pose. So for puppy pose, we're actually going to lift our hips above our knees and allow our chest to drop towards the floor. If you'd like to get a little deeper into this one, put your hands on blocks and allow your head to extend down. Take another deep breath here and begin to transition into lizard pose. So for lizard pose, we're going to take our right foot outside of our right hands. If you'd like to get deeper into this position, go ahead and move onto your forearms. If this is too challenging for you, also feel free to drop your knee onto the mat. Here you're going to use your breath to release any tension in your inner thighs and sink your hips forward towards the ground. Go ahead and gaze forward to keep your chest open. Then alternate sides when you're ready, keeping that gaze forward and dropping the hips towards the ground. And take another breath here on your left side as we begin to transition into the crown chakra portion of this video, beginning with Dolphin Pose. So for Dolphin Pose, lift your hips towards the sky or ceiling, depending on where you are, and drop your head between your forearms and heels down towards the ground. Try and lift the back of your knees to really engage your legs and keep your spine long with your shoulder blades against your back. Broaden those collarbones as you breathe in. From Dolphin, we're going to transition into Crow Pose. So for Crow Pose, go ahead and create a shelf with your arms and just roll your body forwards until your knees are engaged onto those upper arms and your body just balances the weight of your hips forward. Always feel free to be in child's pose if this is too challenging, and if you can, point your feet and lift your hips even higher. I'm going to actually take a few variations for my wrists here and do play around with some sideways crow. For this one, it's a very similar concept. You just create the shelf on either side and just rotate your body onto those elbows. Play with extending your legs if you feel comfortable, though it does definitely add to the balancing. Those of you who are playing around with sideways crow, let's go ahead and just make sure that we do the other side as well. One side is usually easier than the other, so for me, this left side was a little bit easier, and I held it longer, though did not play so much with extending my legs in this one. Next, we're going to move into rabbit pose or a headstand, depending on what you feel comfortable with. So for those of us who are doing rabbit pose, basically you're also going to be putting your head down towards the ground as if you were going to be doing a headstand. But instead of having your arms by your sides, you'll just come and meet your ankles with them and just have your hips lift and have your arms long and strong, pulling on your feet, letting your back round and breathe between your shoulder blades. For those of us that want to play around with some inversion, and inversion has endless benefits such as improving circulation, alleviating stress, insomnia, depression, relaxing and energizing your mind, easing pressure on your lower back, etc. The ground I'm on is not entirely level, so I might not be joining you for it for too long, but it's something good to just practice in your own time, and helps you be aware of your hip positioning. When I find myself in weeks where I sit pretty often, my hips aren't as aligned with my upper body, which makes inversion more difficult, versus when my alignment is a little bit more attuned. I find that it's easier to hold these positions. So just check in with yourself and see kind of where you're at and what you might want to work on. And for anyone who was in rabbit pose, let's go ahead and all meet back together and move into our ear chakra practice. So we're actually going to be focusing on the ear pressure pose. I'll briefly demonstrate what we're building up to, but to get started, really all we want to do for this first version is lift our hips above our head and have our legs straight in front of us, feet, toes pointing towards the ground, and having the weight of our legs here really extending our lower back without feeling any pains or pressure, but more so just breathing into opening this up. The next version of opening it up is just going to be our supported shoulder stand, here using our elbows and hands to prop our hips up, keeping our feet directly above our hips and our back, extending towards the sky, and then move back into the ear pressure pose I demonstrated, which is essentially the first one, but our knees are going to be on either side of our head here. It's going to be a little bit deeper of a stretch, and we're going to hold it for a little longer. You should feel a pressure on your head, really just kind of forcing an alignment here. If there's any sharp pains at any point in this practice or in any yoga practice, really feel free to go straight back into child's pose. But otherwise, we'll just transition into fish pose. So modified fish pose, you'll want to take a prop of some sort, pillow or block, and place it underneath your rib cage as you just let your body hang over it. Or if you're feeling up for the extra challenge, go ahead and use your head as what lifts your chest up, and letting both your arms just fall towards your side. Fish pose is a great position for boosting your energy and building confidence. It's gonna really help open up your shoulders and stretch out your neck. For those who need a little bit more support in this position, go ahead and roll a blanket or place 2 blocks underneath your chest to keep it elevated. A few more breaths here, and then let's go ahead and balance out the position by pulling our heads in, doing maybe a shoulder stand or whatever you feel called to try today. Just give yourself a few moments to really release the tension that might have been placed in your neck. We're going to meet facing forward in easy pose. So go ahead and roll out your shoulders, give yourself a big hug, and place your legs in the cross-seated position. Here I'm actually have one hand on either shoulder blade to really open up my back, and so I'm pulling the shoulder blades apart from each other. Now I'm going to do the opposite side here, have my left arm under my right arm and do the same, using my breath to really increase the stretching that's going on here. Then from here we're going to transition into half Lord of the Fishes, Adramatsundrasana. So go ahead and take your right foot outside your left leg and use your left elbow to push against your right knee. So breathing here, if you feel called to take it a little further, just look over your right shoulder. And then of course balance it out with the other side, left foot outside of the right thigh, using your right elbow this time to press against your left knee. Take a few deep breaths here, and then we're going to go ahead and meet back in another seated asana, a depths pose, where I'm just going to have my left foot above my right calf this time. We're going to use our time together here to set the intention of greeting our spirit guides and thanking them for the help they give us. So go ahead and slow your breathing, close your eyes, and allow your mind to get flooded with white light. Notice this white light is actually not just white light, but a room and a tunnel leading you to a doorway off in the distance. Watch your feet walk your body to this doorway as you slowly place your hand on the doorknob. Deepen your breath a little lower and pay attention to this doorway, where it's from, any details it might have, any time era it might have come out of. And allow yourself to step through this doorway and see a beautiful waterfall of loving energy off in the distance of a beautiful jungle. You pass by some birds, some tropical flowers, and you see yourself walk into this waterfall of light. On the other side of this waterfall, you see a small cave with one shining light in the back of it. You start to notice that this light is the top of a candle, and that this candle is being held by a hand. Start to pay attention to the details of this hand as you see a face be illuminated. Some may even see many faces. Greet these beautiful spirits. Tell them thank you for protecting me and being with me on my journey. And allow yourself to be hugged by your spirit guides and receive their love. Now ask them to join you on the rest of this practice as we start to transition back into more asanas. Coming first onto your knees, and then onto your feet, facing forward and moving into tree pose. Notice the love that your spirit guides are sending you And put yourself back in this waterfall that we walked through and allow it to heat your hands and body up with love. Cup your hands to really focus this love and energy. And whenever you're ready, place it in your heart. Take a few deep breaths here, and then go ahead and use your right hand to grab your big toe or the bottom of your foot and extend out into extended hand to big toe pose, Uttanasana Padangusthasana. And then transition back into standing, however you got there. And take your left foot and place it above your right knee. Back into tree pose on the other side. And once again, allow this flooding light energy to enter your body and heat up your hands. Thank your guides for their protection and love they're sending you. And whenever you're ready, place this one in your heart as well, or whatever part of your body needs it most. Maybe even send it off to someone else. And then grab your left toe this time with your left hand and come into extended hand to big toe pose on the left hand side. Try and keep your body straight here. One side's usually easier than the other, but root down in your right heel and let your head stand tall above your shoulders, dropping the shoulders at the sides. From tree pose, we move into mountain pose. So hands above the head and feet rooted into the earth, about hip distance apart. And then drop your elbows out to either side, allowing your chest to lift up as if the string was now in the middle of your heart, raising it up towards the sky, and your shoulder blades pushing your chest forward. Really allow your breath to lift your chest and then meet your hands back above your head. Here I'm going to go ahead and stretch out my shoulders. We're going to do a few rounds here, or wherever you feel any tightness in your body. Go ahead and use this moment to maybe stretch to either side, touch your toes, do a back bend, or as I'm doing, allow that chest opener to really be amplified by a few oscillations of the shoulder joint. We carry a lot of tension in our shoulders from responsibilities we carry in our postures throughout the day. So this will really allow your body to feel invigorated and recharged after working long hours or having many responsibilities placed on you. From here, meet back into prayer at heart center. And then we're going to take a forward fold together. So reaching down towards your toes. Halfway lift, breathe in, exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, rise all the way up, sun salutation, vertebrae above vertebrae till you meet the sky. And then fall straight back down, swan dive towards your toes on your exhale. And then inhale, root down to rise up, again slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Now we're going to go ahead and spread our legs and move into intense side stretch pose, having your left hand and right hand meet your right foot. And balance it out. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So right and left hand meeting our left foot. Take a few deep breaths here and prepare for our warrior sequences. So go ahead and rotate with your left leg bent and your right foot back, taking a moment in warrior 2. And from here we're going to move into extended triangle. So Uttanasana. Having your left hand meet your left foot, opening up through your chest, and move back into reverse warrior. Now same thing on the other side, going into our lunge on our right foot, moving straight into warrior two, looking over your middle finger here, and then extended triangle pose with your right hand at your right foot, left hand reaching towards the sky. Balancing out with reverse warrior. So lunging through your right, having your left meet your left calf, opening up through the chest. And then meeting in standing to go into warrior three on either side and king dancer pose. So go ahead and reach forward as you lift your right leg and ground through your left, trying to keep your body horizontal to the ground. And then when you're ready, reach your right hand to your right foot, and again seeking that horizontal relationship through your right thigh through to your hand. Now same thing on the other side, so go ahead and warrior three, reach out in front of you, lift your left leg this time, grounding in your right. Now when you're ready, left hand to left leg, king dancer pose, and lean your body forward until a straight line is created from your hip through your arm. And we're going to meet back in standing position. Here I'm going to take a few neck rolls to release from our practice, really feeling any differences between the ones we did at the beginning of the practice. And now we're going to do a small Shakti warrior practice of a hip opener. Just imagine a figure 8 and follow that, tracing it with your hips. Just check in with that part of your body and see any tightness it might have or anything that could be improved, but allowing those rotations to take place. And then from here we're going to do a variation of cat-cow, a seated one. So place your hands on your knees, come to a seated position, and inhale, chest out. Exhale, roll your head in and back. Inhale, chest lifts and out. Exhale, roll back. Inhale, out. Exhale, in. Do a few more of these, placing some movement from the hips we just activated through your spinal cord back to your head and your crown. Now roll onto the floor and meet your hands to the top of your feet, coming into happy baby pose. We're going to use happy baby pose to roll out our back, any tension we might have found, swinging the hips from side to side, maybe even extending the legs as you roll over. You're just playing around in this one and following what your body guides you to do as you start to settle down into the ground here. Whenever you're ready, place either legs out in front of you, and we're gonna meet in Shavasana. As you let your mind rest and you deepen your breath, ask your spirit guides to close this practice out with you, making room for any visions, words, feelings that they might have to send you to help you on your path forward and with that which has your heart in this moment of life. Enjoy the abundance of this moment of the earth lovingly holding you, of the air nurturing and filling your lungs and your heart, of your brain calm and full of light from your guides. And enjoy the peace that this practice has brought you, being grateful for the time you devoted to it. And as we start to wake up, maybe opening our eyes, wiggling our toes, wiggling our fingers, bring some movement back into your body as you prepare to move back into seated, rolling over on whichever side feels most comfortable to you, and taking a few breaths here before pressing your hands into the ground and returning to a seated position. Namaste, yogis, and thank you for practicing with me.